Hello everybody, this is Shannon with Beads and Babble with another tutorial. Today we're going to talk mainly about ear wires and how to make your own. It can save you a lot of money actually making your own ear wires. So today we're going to have a variety of tools. Not all of them will be necessary, but if you have them, great. You can definitely get by with much less. So we're going to have a steel bench mandrel, block, I should say, not mandrel, block. This will help with hardening the ear wires, and we'll talk about the different temper of wire as well. We're going to have some vinyl jaw straightening. You do not need these. You can usually use your fingers just fine, but if you have them, great. Flush cutters, a soft mallet. I use this one for ear wires because it's small and it's handy, but you can use any vinyl mallet, rawhide mallet, whatever you have that's soft and will not mar your metal. It has a little bit of weight to it. Then you're going to need a plenishing hammer. This is a small one, a micro one. It has a domed head and a flat head. We're going to be using the domed head today. Then you're going to need some flat nose pliers, some bent nose pliers. You do not need these, but if you have them, they're awesome, especially these here, which I just recently acquired myself. But they're basically round nose pliers with step progression of from small to large, from 2 millimeter, 3 millimeter, 4 millimeter, 5, 6, 7, 8 millimeter diameter round nose pliers. You can use them for jump ring making, bell making, ear wire making, like endless endless ways to use this tool. And then this is also a step bell making plier. I'm not using it to make bells today, but it's the largest one here is 10 millimeters, which I want to use for the bend in my ear wires. So that's why I have this one. And a Sharpie, handy dandy. Multi-tool, you can also use this like a mandrel to get the bend in the ear wire as well. It's going to be a little bit wider of an ear, but anyway. Then a simple nail file with a coarse and a finer grit side to smooth out the ends of your ear wires, to take off the metal burrs that they have so they are comfortable going through the ear. Also have some 0.65 wax linen cord, and I will show you why I have this here shortly. And then I have 20 gauge raw copper wire, dead soft. I would prefer to work with half hard for ear wires, but I didn't have any, and I'll show you how to work hard in this. So it is tempered half hard. And then also I have some 20 gauge sterling silver half hard. Now you can really tell the difference in the tempered of the wire just by the spring. See that spring? Which keeps this particular half hard, will keep its shape, while the dead soft does not. It will bend. Sorry, off camera there. So that's why it's better if you have half hard, but if you don't, we can make it half hard. So we're going to start out with a simple pair of ear wires that we're going to make, and we're going to do it in a way where you get an identical set. So I'm going to use the raw copper wire 20 gauge for this. I'm just, as you can see, I'm straightening it with my hands because Dead Soft is very, very, very pliable. So you can usually straighten it. But if you have these and you want to use them, you can use these as well to straighten out the wire. Does a great job too. So you're going to want to cut a total of 4 inches. And you use your flush cutters. Flush slide towards the working end of the wire. I actually am finding that I really love this mat for having the measurement here, because I can just literally bring the wire down and snip it. You know, an old dog can learn new tricks. There for a while I was still bringing out my little mini ruler and using that. But I really do like this mat, and I love that it is anti-slip and it doesn't move as you're working, because, oh my gosh, yeah, I don't know how many times I've spilt beads because I pushed my mat when I was working, not paying attention, or caught my sleeve on it or something. Okay, so now we have a 4-inch piece of wire, 20 gauge copper. So we're going to take our flat nose pliers. We're going to put it at the 2-inch mark, and then we're just going to simply bend. So it kind of looks like a triangle at this point. And we're going to continue to work this so it is closed, almost like a bobby pin. We are going to really close this guy down. And we're going to squeeze it here at the end. So it looks like that. And that's really all you need to do. And if your wires aren't completely flush with each other down here, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. So now we're going to use these pliers here to put our first loop in. And we're going to do this by putting the closed end of the wire at the center of the 2mm mark here on the pliers. And we're going to simply bend the wires around the, around the barrel of the pliers. So you have that little loop there. You don't have to worry about closing it too tight at this point. Just get your loop in there. Okay. And then I'm going to put these down for a second, and I'm going to grab these because I like this 10mm size barrel here. This one only goes up to 8, so I wanted it a little wider. So now you're going to slide your wire in there where the hoop is, like this, up against, and then you're going to take your thumb and you're just going to push these wires around the barrel like that, and then you can open it up and slide. So now you have something that looks like this. At this point you can pull them back just a little bit, and then you're going to take, and if you need to, trim up your ends. These are pretty close, but I'm still going to trim them up just a little bit, cover that end so your little pieces don't go flying, so they're the same. Then you're going to take your flat nose. I'm going to line them up, and you're just going to give it a little bend. And the reason why I selected these is because I like the size of this here, which is approximately 4mm, which is a great length for your bend at the end of your wire. There. And so now you have this. You're going to take your flush cutters again. Flush side out like this. And you're going to move them up to this end. and you're going to cut. You don't have to worry about covering at this point because it's going to hold on for the other side. And cut that loose there. And then you're going to do the same thing here. You will have to cover this one because this one will go flying. Sorry, I have to kind of hide that. So you have what looks like that right now. And so you'll grab your step pliers again, and you're going to put them back at the 2 millimeter mark, and you're just going to close that up. This is what's nice about these pliers. You get consistent loops when you do it. Now, these are not quite finished because they're dead soft and they will literally bend out of shape. Super easy. So I'll bring in the steel bench block here and I'll show you how to work harden this dead soft copper wire. So you'll place it on there, and you're going to want to start with this bend right here. This is where you want to harden it because that's where you're going to spring what you're spring. Take your mallet. Don't kill your fingers. Give it some good wax here. You don't have to go crazy. And if it spreads a little bit, which metal will tend to do when you work harden it, you can always bring back your pliers. And, oops, I'm not doing that right. And curve it around again so it moves around. And you can continue to work that until you got it where you want it. Another way to do it as well is to take your plenishing hammer and do the same thing. Now this will flatten the wire up here, but it will also work harden it. And it'll give it almost a shiny appearance because you're burnishing the metal as well. But it also will give you that spring. So as you can see, it will not lose its shape. Try to get this one back correctly. The shape, I kind of mingled it when I work my angles so weird when I'm doing the camera, then I get all confused as to what I'm doing here. Could be old age too, I don't know. Probably a little bit of both. Look at that. I've totally mangled it. See, bear with me. Bear with me. There we go. A little bit better. But as I said, I'm not going to do a lot of editing, just for the simple fact that I want this channel to be more about the creative process and not gaining subscribers. But that, I mean, other than people that want to follow the channel to learn how to make jewelry and stuff in real time, there's going to, I think the best lessons are the ones that you do, and if things happen that don't go perfectly well, I mean, that's life, right? Not everything in life goes as it should. So we have to find workarounds, and that's perfectly normal. And that's why I kind of want to relate to you guys in that sense that I still make mistakes. And then I have to figure out how to correct them and stuff. Don't get discouraged by that. That's how we learn. So we'll keep on doing that. And, you know, it's just, I feel it's very important to relate to you guys on that level, rather than everything look perfect and I did it first try. Ugh, that rarely happens, but So that's how you work harden your dead soft wire, and whether it's copper, sterling, brass tends to be a little bit more springy. Depends on what type of wire you're going to use. And you also have to keep in mind that a lot of people are sensitive to copper wire, brass wire. It depends on how their skin reacts to it. Sterling is usually a safe bet. It's hyperallergenic, so that's why I was saying if you make your own, it's so much more cost effective to make your own ear wires, and you can make them in so many different ways. So I'm going to set these over to the side. Those are kind of just your basic ones that you can make, and doing it the way I did it ensures that you have a matching pair. And then the next one I'm going to show you how to make is this one. Now this one is really awesome because you can use it in so many different ways. Like say for instance, you can do something like this using that wax linen cord and some seed beads, some metal copper beads, bugle beads. You can also put metal paddles on there after you make them, and I can show you how to do that quickly too. But you can also leave them plain if you want them just to look like that. More and more minimalist earring. That's perfectly fine too. I'm going to set these over to the side here. And I am going to use the copper wire again, the 20 gauge bare copper wire, dead soft. You're going to need 5 inches of wire per each ear wire on this one, a little bit more, so about 1 inch more, and then you're going to take your your flush cutters and cut there. And we're going to do the same thing at the 2 inch mark. We are going to do a bend in it, but only an L. So we'll go down, or excuse me, up to the 2 inch, and then you're just going to make almost, well, pretty much an L right there. And then I'm going to use these pliers again, and we're going to use these to make the loop at the end here, the large 8, and I'm going to use the 8mm size, lining it up, and I'm going to take the short end of the L, and I'm going to push it over the barrel at the 8mm mark, so it looks like that. I'm going to leave the wire on the actual pliers while I finish off the loop. And the reason I'm doing that is so it retains the shape, because this is dead soft wire and it will bend out of shape really easy. So you're going to want to wrap the short tail back around the long tail. And I did this, I think, twice here. I'll let you know here. And if you don't get the loop super tight, don't worry about it. We'll fix that. Yeah, I think I did too. So you're going to want to come around twice. So it's going to look like that with the loop here. And you can work hard in this loop too, so it doesn't go out of shape as well. Flush cutters, we're going to nip off the short tail. Make sure that you put the flush side towards the working piece you're keeping, and then you're going to cover, because this will go flying. And we do not want it to go flying. You're going to use your bent nose pliers here to close up the end and tuck that raw edge in so it's not sharp or sticking out. And then you're going to use them also to tighten up that loop. And you just do that, and it actually brings it down quite nicely and into a nice tight coil and circle. And I had made one of these earlier, so you can see. And I recommend you doing 2 like this at the same time, not bending until you have 2 matching loops like this. That way you can bend at the same time so you get the same length of your curve here. So I think I did this at about 3/4 of an inch from the actual wrap. So what I did is I made sure these were facing, because you'll have, you know, your wrap up top here. You want them to look the same. You don't want them to go like this where they're both different. So you want to make sure they're both facing the same. So the wrap starts same direction. So it looks good. And it looks so the symmetry is good. Okay, so I'm going to go down here and I'm going to grab my Sharpie. And I'm going to mark at the 1 inch mark, because I did 3/4, but I'm going to do this one a little bit longer. So, and the Sharpie will come off with rubbing alcohol if you want to remove it, or with a polish pad, or it'll come right off of the wire. So don't worry about making marks on it. And then I'm going to use my 8-inch mark again here on the pliers, and I'm going to take and just basically split the line with the Sharpie mark of the 8. That. I'm going to just bend the wire around the pliers. So now you'll have something that looks just like that. And yes, you can manipulate that wire a little bit, because it's still very, very soft. And I find that that's a really nice spacing. So you can go ahead and leave these tails this long if you want. You can also, instead of 5 inches, you can go 6 and make them long. I tend to like them approximately this long. I feel like this is a good length, and it works well. So what I'll do now is I'll kind of line up the loops, make sure everything's good. And then I'll do my trim here, flush side towards the jewelry that you're keeping so that it's flush cut. Cover the end. And then I'll take my flat nose, do the same thing as I did to the previous wires, and just kind of give them a little bend. So you end up with matching ear wires like that. I can't say enough about this particular ear wire. It's really nice to have, because there's just so much, and you can, like I said, you can just leave them as they are. And you know, sterling silver, that would really be pretty. You can also, if you want to, before you do the bend in here, I guess I should have showed you that too, but you can flatten this out with the plenishing hammer, and give it some texture if you want to do that. And you could do the same thing with this to temper this wire. Is you want to hold it here, bring that right up there, and you can work harden this wire so it retains its shape and it has some spring. And you can test it by doing what I just did, by flicking that in, and if it, you need to work harden it a little bit more, go ahead. There we go. Now we're getting some spring in that. So you just continue to do that until you're happy with the spring back, and make sure that it's going to retain its curve here. And I'm going to put these over to the side, and I'm going to show you how to complete this fringe here. So I cut 3 6-inch pieces of wax linen, and the reason why I did it this way rather than connecting it to the loop and then stringing the beads, because it was easier. So what I did is I knotted one end of the 6-inch wax linen cord, so you keep the beads on it. A little fiddly here, but leave yourself a few, probably about 3 millimeters there. And then what I did, grabbing my assortment of beads here, is I strung the beads on the cord, mirroring the pattern. So the first one is a round. This is 3mm round raw copper metal bead down. Then I did a bugle. Oh, and another trick too I wanted to show you is if you're having trouble with your wax linen cord, cut it. You'll need really sharp shears for this, but cut a nice angle on the thread so it's sharper, and it'll slide through the bead so much easier. So much easier. And it's as simple as that. And then I did 3 6/0 seed beads. I'm basically mirroring this pattern here on all 3 of the beads, which will give you 6 strands of fringe. So, and then you're going to do basically the same here. So, and then 3 more. Now, you don't have to do this pattern. You can make your own pattern. You can do different beads if you choose. Basically, it's whatever design you want. Super easy to do, and it's just going to be a lark's head knot that is securing it to the ear wires. So, and I always double check. I'm like, okay, yes, got it right. All right, and then you just tie another knot in the end. Just a simple knot. Just keeps the beads on the thread. They're all the same length, 6 inches. And you're going to take your ear wire, going to fold it in half. You're going to fold the wax linen cord in half. And you're going to run it through this way. And then you're going to tuck the 2 tails through the looped in. And you can have them, and I purposely did them to where they weren't exactly even because I felt like it had just a better texture that way, and it was very random, which I like. Same with this one. Through the loop, and then the tails. You can adjust them too. It's not, if you don't like them that way, you can move them. Oops, that one opposite. Don't want to do that. You want the over one here. So I do that constantly. If I do it again, you guys are gonna have to scream at me. Oh, not that way. I did. Oh my goodness. And Shannon, get it right. All right, there we go. Through the back and then up through the loop. I know this seems really fiddly, but it's mostly because I'm nervous. And, you know, it's way different when you're doing this stuff without a camera and everything. Crazy. I know I shouldn't be nervous, and I should just be like, oh, you got this. I've done it a million times. But no. Oh, let's position it a little bit easier there. And you can always do this different than I did it, but I did for doing this with the video, I felt it was easier for me to do it that way, but you can always put the lark's head on here with the thread and then you can always do the lark set and then do your stringing there. But I felt like these were so short that it almost was harder to do it that way. So that literally is it. And then I just give them a good tug because the wax linen cord will grip onto itself and hold the knots at the top. But yeah, they're pretty, and it's something very beginner friendly. And it comes out so nice. Fringe here. So that's that. I hope that made enough sense to you guys. And if it doesn't, let me know. Let me know in the comments if I need to slow things down or if I need to explain them better. So I can do that for you, because I definitely want this to be good tutorials so you guys can actually learn the technique and learn it well and enjoy it and enjoy creating, because that's what it's all about. And another one I was going to show you too, but I don't want to make this video too long. We're already at 30 minutes. I tend to be a little bit slower because I'm learning too, is this particular ear wire. And you can see that you can do it too by, you can adorn it with beads. That super easy. And it's just using a flaring technique at the end to hold the beads on with the plenishing hammer and the steel bench block, flattening it out. But let me know if you want to learn some more ear wires, different shapes than the other, just the basic one I showed you here, and then these. And I will make another tutorial kind of making, of different shapes and stuff. But I feel you can do a lot with these here, especially these. You can add so much to them. Oh, another thing that I was going to show you how to do, and this will be really quick, but I'll show you how to do it, is you can add like your own paddles to those. So you can have some metal. So I'm going to cut this one at 2.5 inches. This wire, and this is just the dead saw 20, and you can use thicker gauge wire. You can do like an 18 gauge. Will give you more of a paddle at the end because there's more metal to move. I'm going to use the plenishing hammer, and what I'm going to do here, I'm going to straighten this out a little bit though first. I can start kind of with a more straight. Is I'm going to turn this into a paddle by using my plenishing, the round side of the plenishing hammer. And when you strike, you're going to strike and pull down. So you're moving that metal down. I usually start at the end. And you do not have to hit hard. This is really soft wire. And it'll move without. And as you can see, it's starting to display a little bit. And then I will turn it over. And I will continue. Oops, the round side. Yeah, always look at your hammer. Make sure you got the right head. And you just work your way up to get more of a flare. And you'll want to flip it because you'll see that it'll start to curve one way if you don't. And then you can have a little bit of a paddle on there. You can make that paddle bigger by selecting a larger gauge wire. And you'll see that I cut this at 2.5 and it's already stretching by just doing that, working the metal. And what you can do is, probably about 1/4 of an inch there. It's actually a little bit bigger. Then I'm just going to use the probably 3. Get a little bigger. cut that a little long, but and then you just get your eye head there, and then you're gonna open it. And you want to open any loop with a twist, side to side twist, not pulling apart. And then you can make flared dangles at the end, and you'll want to use your file to, you know, take off any burrs and sharp edges, and you can make these different lengths, and then, but you can do paddles at the end. So you have metal paddle fringe, and then you can also do, I mean, you can do so much. You can take in that paddle and curl it if you want. You know, you can do so much with metal. I mean, you can manipulate it however you like. Just all kinds of stuff. But like I said, these are very versatile in the sense that you can put beads or whatever. And then if you choose to, I'm going to straighten this one out because I haven't work hardened it yet. But if you choose to flatten out this before you bend to give it some interest too, you can do that. And flip it. Flip it again. You can do that. It gives it kind of a little bit, oh, well, it does flatten the edges there. And then you can also texture it however you like, but that's another way to change that wire. So you can have different ways of displaying. And you can just slowly wrap that again around. Straighten it up. Work harden it and call it good. But you can definitely do a lot with those two wires. I think that'll be it for today since this is going on almost 40 minutes. Like I said, I'm doing this for you guys, so these videos will probably run long, and I hope that the content is what you're looking for. But I'm definitely wanting feedback, so if you guys can take the time and let me know, that would be much appreciated. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.